Today's video, it's all about machining this casting that I poured about well over 12 months ago. So why have an expendable faceplate? Well, I watched Blondie Hack's video a while ago and she drilled and tapped a hole in her faceplate that came with the lathe. And that's the problem with those faceplates, is the holes are never in the right place, neither are the slots. So why I held back on machining on this is these defects go down a long way. So I thought about it. I like to machine all over, but it's going to take too much metal off, and with an expendable faceplate you want them as thick as possible. So the solution for that problem is, there is my 4-jaw chuck. So what I'll do, see, from there to there, I'll just machine this part here and only take the barest minimum off, and we don't need to take any part of that off, only a small amount, and it'll be facing the chuck. So you won't be able to see it, and it'll leave a full amount of metal on the faceplate, so when I machine the other side to true it up, the barest minimum of metal will be taken off. So here we are at the first part of the machining. This diameter here is what I'll machine first, and then when I get that finished we'll machine down to roughly about there. So that's where it sits in that 4-jaw chuck, just in there. Yeah, I've got a bit of a problem here. I've got a really large vernier. The trouble is the jaws is not long enough. Yeah, I'm still a bit oversized. So this is what I was trying to do with the vernier. I was trying to measure the outside diameter of the chuck, because I want to machine the expendable faceplate outside diameter the same as that, so I can put a steel ruler across it and set it up without using a dial indicator. But because that vernier is such a pain in the ass to use, and it's very prone to inaccuracies if not used correctly, so I've thought of another brilliant idea. You can see my tool bit, the tungsten carbide tip, is centered onto there, and then I've set the dial to 0. So I'll wind it out, and bring it onto there, and I know it's exactly 0.1 of a millimetre larger. So this part here is larger than the chuck. So now I know how to take off to finish that dimension. That last cut took out a little blemish that was inside that surface there. So now it's pretty clean. So I'll have a quick look. Although a little blemish in there doesn't matter, it just looks a lot better. Next step, I need to go from the edge about 35 millimetres in there and clean that face up so it'll sit inside that 4-jaw chuck. So as you can see, I've finished this surface, and what it does, it sits against the chuck jaw and makes sure it's parallel or very close to it. But as you can see, there's very deep holes in there and cracks where the mould cracked and moved, expansion defects. But the main thing is there's a datum surface all the way around, and it's ready for the next operation. There's one thing I forgot. I had to machine just a little bit of a surface just in there. You'll see it. That is for clamping, and we'll discuss that a bit more later on in the video. Okay, it's looking really good. The working surface has been machined, and now what we've got to do, get my pointer, we've got to drill a hole in the centre. So what's going to happen is a bolt, and it holds down a little spigot or a lining dowel so you can line something to the centre of your expendable faceplate. This is make sure that it actually sits in there and won't come out. The expendable faceplate has been completed. Come out really nice where I've machined it. Now I'll explain why the hole is there. There's a dowel I made up off camera. So what used to happen in my other expendable faceplates, if I wanted a lining dowel in the centre, I would machine the whole lot down, and that took a lot off the face and it didn't last as long. So I thought with this one here, I can make it any diameter I want, and all I have to do with a screw, just bolt it in. So there is the dowel. There's a screw that holds it in. So now we're nearly at the end of the video. I just thought I'd show you my collection of expendable faceplates. This is my largest one. And the story behind that was when I purchased my lathe 27 years ago, there were 2 3-jaw chucks and 1 4-jaw chuck, but no faceplates. So I inquired with Colchester to buy a genuine faceplate off them for my lathe, and they wanted $1,200, and that was 27 years ago. So you can see I wasn't going to do that. So I cast one up and machined it up in my lathe. And I'll just show you the other side. There it is. There's the taper. And there's a thread where the collet fits on. And to give you an idea of the size, here is the latest one I've made. And here is one I've made many of. That's a smaller expendable faceplate. You just can't beat a faceplate where you just drill the holes where you want them, not where the manufacturer puts them. And when you have your own iron foundry, It works really well. You can do anything you want. And to finish up, there is the riser and sprue from that faceplate. Now that is fairly large in diameter. You can see with my finger, it's about 75 millimeters. That is very handy to have in your machine shop. So I'll cut that off and put my box of spare parts in there.